This week on Hermitcraft.
I think I'll die, actually. Let's try it!
Welcome to the Hermitcraft Recap. My name is Pixelriffs, our writer is LoyXP, and just like every season, we're being absolutely swept away by the speed at which the server is developing. It's been but a week since the season began, yet the Hermit kind have already completed the Moon program, paid the Iron price, and introduced gambling to the community. With the rattling of a dozen skeleton spawners in the distance, we personally are quite happy to see the server returning to its old, overpowered self. And with that out of the way, let's take a look at all the events and mishaps that occurred on the Hermitcraft server this week.
Ooh, wow, oh Zed, oh it's amazing, look at your farming skills, this is so good, you need to show this off to everybody, oh.
Starting with Zedaf on his dramatic yet not at all efficient doggo rescue.
Come on! Yes! No! Oh, and you're a wild one as well. Oh, I could have probably just fed you some stuff first, couldn't I? Made you like me. And then you'd have teleported everywhere.
Now, while the inefficiency is very much his thing for the season, the zombie spawner he found and domesticated is far from that. Though the now traumatized bait villager was probably unnecessary and a waste of good mental health on both the villagers and Zed's behalf.
I think if we do this, if we just get it up in the corner, maybe... Oh, I'm stuck. Maybe not.
Zed, can I help?
Help me. I'm stuck in my own...
Interestingly enough, this is far from the final form for the grinder, seeing as how grinding the zombies is not the goal. The continuous stream of undead is meant for a later, much sillier contraption. It's just for now, Zedaf is in need of experience, and shooing off social spawn zombies is quite an experience in itself.
Yes! When zombies are in pain, they call friends. Oh dear, well this could end badly.
A similar setup backfires royally at False Symmetry, whose own zombie provider provides a bit more than her AFK self was prepared for.
This happened. Oh, I don't want to lose that stuff. How on earth did I die? Actually how?
Doesn't help that the reinforcement
Apparently
zombie claimed her first death of the season. False takes out her rightful frustration on the nearest boss mob she can find, which really is a bad time to be an Elder Guardian. The rest of the temple awaits a fate worse than death, even if, for now, it is left to be dismantled and industrialized.
I needed to end the episode with a win, and I think I've done that.
It's also a bad time to be Impulse SV, who had made a mental note of where that monument was and planned to make it his first major farm project. Luckily for him, another monument could easily be found nearby, and he's laid the groundwork for easy access to it. You see, the 1.15 update has now made it possible for portals built on the nether roof to link there without the need to break any bedrock. As long as you can get up there to begin with, and deal with the portal's linking range, creating a nether roof hub is a very feasible possibility. Which for Impulse means putting his overworld portal 130 blocks in the sky so he doesn't take an unexpected trip to see vintage beef.
Hopefully this will actually connect with the portal we built above the nether, so let's find out. That's how we gotta do it. We have to get a portal high up in the air. Unfortunately, it looks terrible.
The ocean monument isn't the only thing taking Impulse out to sea though. His Season 7 base is taking shape in the ocean offshore from his desert village. The shape it's taking right now is a square, but at least it's a square with a very nice view of Tango's house. In the meantime, the desert village is proving more lively than it looks from the outside, because the villager breeder he's hidden under one of the houses is breeding villagers with excellent comedic timing.
Yeah, look at this guy. He's in the glass. Craziness, but he can't get out. I guess. Well, go ahead and tell me I'm wrong then.
If it's coincidences of timing you want though, look no further than the Humble Skeleton Spawner, a huge bonus to players in the early game for easy access to experience, bone meal, free bows and arrows, and armor for wearing or smelting. Typically on a fresh restart they are coveted, but on this world they are legion, because everyone seems to be finding one in their backyard. Impulse is one of those fortunate folks, another is Stress Monster, who finds and rigs up her skeleton spawner just in time for Iskall to visit her base in a fancy suit and attempt to sell her some bones.
This is just the worst. Is it the suit?
No.
Is it not annoying enough?
It's the fact that you're selling bones, and I have them.
Luckily for him, it's not the only deal on the table. After Stress heads out to a village and finds the only remaining villagers hiding on a hillside, Iskall helps her get them back to the jungle lake in exchange for their firstborn son. It's a deal she later delivers on after stumbling upon a mysterious jungle shrine, about which more later, then sets about building her own trading area for the continued offspring of this fateful pair of villagers. In tribute to the jungle villagers' outfits, which make them look like a cheeseburger by the way, cannot unsee, she builds 4 custom jungle tree stumps and plans to stash a villager in each one. The first of which, of course, is a librarian.
Yes! We have a villager! We have a villager!
The next server-issued skeleton spawner arrives at the feet of XB Crafted, who has decided, consistent with his bases on previous seasons of Hermitcraft, to get the heck out of Dodge. But even at a distance of 4,000 blocks, his base is going to stand out, since he's decided to set up in one of Minecraft's most remarkable and chaotic biomes, the Shattered Savannah. After sweeping the perimeter, locking up the villagers for their own safety and diving for treasure, he goes spelunking and finds an abandoned mineshaft, and from there, stumbles across the aforementioned skeleton spawner. It's only when he pillars up he realizes the dungeon is directly below an enormous savannah mountain, and he fashions a side entrance that doesn't require him to drop 150 blocks. One tamed spawner and a couple of live streams later, he's setting up a trading hall with librarians of his own, zero-ticking sugarcane for paper, and breeding up more villagers for fun and profit.
Whew, all right. I don't know if I think you guys saw that. Look at that. They're both working. They're doing things. It's not the prettiest thing right now, but it works.
Before we get to Rendog's skeleton spawner, we have to address everything else about Rendog.
A story about a posse of hermit pilgrims who ventured forth into the unknown.
Escaping the castaway environment of Loser Island for a short while, Ren sets up a spaghetti western saloon in a nearby stretch of the Badlands with the intent of flaunting his zero-death status and challenging the remaining not-dead-yet hermits to a game of who can stay alive the longest, because that went so well for him last time. Ren the Kid's Play Poker With Your Soul game encourages players to up the ante when they enter the contest, with each player wagering more than the last, and the losers having to match the high bid when they eventually die. Its demise with an ever-increasing jackpot, an elite group of participants, and more cheesy cowboy dialogue.
Place your bet, folks. The game of life has begun.
Naturally, having thrown down the gauntlet, Ren gets paranoid and adds another layer to his starter house on Loser Island so he can enchant himself a full diamond set. But that'll certainly be useful as he fixes up the skeleton spawner out in the Mesa, ready for his main business venture this season, the return of Big Logs Incorporated.
Come on, skeletons. Where are you guys? Are we close enough to the spawner?
In the meantime, his Robinson Crusoe gimmick is picked up by Hypno, who also chooses the survival island way for his starter base. He even finds a shipwreck potentially worth renovating. To break up the solitude, Hypno does a bit of kidnapping and pitches some villagers from a not-so-nearby settlement. Unfortunately, the land between them is, well, land, so boat travel isn't exactly the fastest. To counteract this, he throws together a single block-wide noodle to the seas. It's not much faster, but at least the trees don't get in the way. The resulting house librarian is then converted into a mending book printer.
And they've been, harvesting the crops, feeding each other, doing what villagers do, making babies. And we now have 4 villagers, which is really, really awesome.
Hilariously, Jevin does pretty much the opposite of that island part. Having built his first underwater room for the mid-ocean outpost, Jevin promptly disassembles his entire base and rebuilds it almost exactly on the shore of some desert. Luckily, that decision came before he decided to add villagers into the mix, and we want to specifically question why is Zombie Cleo his go-to people retailer? Not saying she's bad at it, just how often do they have that conversation?
Is because Jev sent me messages, goes, hey, have you got any villagers to sell? And I said, well, no, not personally.
Actually, don't know. Oh, they can't get out from there. I'm stupid. Hold on. Herder. There we go.
Now that the paper trade becomes essential to acquisition of wealth, Jevin throws together a zero-tick sugarcane farm, though no amount of emeralds will buy you the silence of a base not bothered by pistons. Never mind that, Cubfan's human equivalent of a Xerox is twice as cool, with 2 mending book trades. We guess the cheaper one is a paper bag.
Sold us a mending book for 30 emeralds, and then was like, you know what? My bad, I charged too much. I'm gonna lower the price.
This pretty much sums it up for Cub's version of the first week, as while the rest of the whitelist is grinding skeletons into bone meal, Cub is slaughtering cave spiders. In triplicate. It turns out, having discovered 3 cave spider spawners all activated at the same time, Cubfan chose not to run away screaming, but to make the most venomous wool farm imaginable. It sure helps that he had a steady supply of honey by that point. It sure is a much nicer alternative to whatever Tango's been drinking.
Bad omen removed. I went over and got some of Zed's milk. Well, I mean, not Zed's milk. It was Zed's cows. So there was milk from Zed's land, and yeah.
Tango's own tendency to overachieve is fulfilled just like many a year ago with an iron farm. He's aiming to have a vertically stacked quadruple setup, though for now, the digging speed of a non-beaconed Minecrafter is holding him back significantly.
3, 2, 1. One lousy golem. Oh, this is awesome.
Still, the section that works like a charm, and a charm of summoning an army of golems at that. How he plans to process the metal protectors down into the poppies, for now, we can't tell. But given the track record of Evoker Fangkiller and Drowned Pitchfork Execution, one can expect shenanigans. In the meantime, the unintentional sponsor of Tango's villagers not being eaten by zombies gets a faceful of shenanigans himself. Grateful for B-Dub's ability to skip the night at the hint of twilight, Mr. Tech presents him with a bed that is not only the comfiest available, but also wakes one up with a smashing tune and a faceful of swiftness potion. Quite an innovative approach to taking your coffee.
Princess-style bed.
So hang on, did you actually sleep in the bed there?
No.
Okay, there
Did
you
you
go.
sleep in it?
Ah! Yeah! Yeah!
Oh!
That's right!
Oh!
That's right!
You
I am
accept that
honored.
gift.
I accept.
This is approximately when Azuma pinches Tango for a dragon fight, and together they liberate the end from a one-of-a-kind animal that was really just guarding its nest. Surprisingly, the game rewards the two with an elytra, which it shouldn't do because that data pack was intentionally not included this season. Before the gendarmes roll up, Azuma hides away the illegal set of wings and is off to get him a set of legit ones from the outer end, which is where the Shulker Shell loot tables mess up and give them more than 2 per Shulker killed, which again was not an intentional feature. Not even Azuma's bee farm works out right. After a whole axe runs out of durability chopping down birch, Azuma discovers that the biome he settled in is actually far from the best for bee farming, and this whole time he's been getting beehives at a decelerated rate. Luckily, his beekeeping days are far from over, and X follows it up by figuring out a more automated bee distribution setup for his hives.
So let's do that one more time, and you can see it's capable of going in. So when the trapdoor is in this position, the bees are able to get out, and when it's here, they're able to get back in.
Keralis' base is buzzing with a different kind of activity. The name of the game is Villagers, and the game will live in towers made of shipping containers. Well, only the lucky ones. The traders unfortunate enough to have useful trades, Keralis puts in a hole in the ground where no one can hear you trade. And they're still better off than that one panda. This is actually an apt metaphor for Keralis' diamond situation. Quite a bit of digging and working just to poof out in an unfortunate swing of fate.
Like a soul, you just poop it down over here and press the magical button.
You have to be kidding me, this is amazing!
The architect of Keralis' voluntary poverty is none other than Doc M, who has been visited by about half the whitelist at one point or another this week, which isn't a surprise considering he's been putting 15-hour days to get his projects done. Aside from encouraging his neighbours to keep bees with some choice name tag usage, he's made his mark on Goat Bay with a huge figurehead. The bearded and horned goat head certainly stands out and provokes a range of reactions from his servermates.
Oh my god, this is taking way too long, but I'm having way too much fun with it.
One such servermate offers some constructive criticism. Vintage Beef builds a much more satirical alternative in Doc's backyard. Considering Mojang plans to add mountain goats to Minecraft in future, I sure hope they're taking notes.
You're disrespecting the goat like that? That, my friend, calls for revenge.
With the mountain keeping watch for him, Doc returns to his basement and begins work on the Infinite Diamond Machine, which turns out to be Keralis' new favourite plaything. Redstoned all to heck, the slot machine's odds are actually not bad for now, and it helps that not only has Zombie Cleo lent a hand to the incredible gambling den surrounding the machine, but Jevin turns up to fund the first set of prize payouts.
I heard that you needed some, and
yeah.
I'm here to barter. So
Wow.
This seems like a good opportunity to remind you all that last time iJevin decided to fund one of Doc's projects, it led to a civil war.
Yeah, he's got a little, I don't want to call it a speakeasy because it's got a secret bookcase entrance. It's a speakeasy. You know that? Speakeasy.
Well, it is technically the 20s, so... The paycheck for the decor is almost entirely negated by her earlier Dark Prismarine buyout. To ensure a bountiful harvest, or something superstitious like that, Cleo gives Impulse not just twice the market price for the blocks given, but even an IOU, which will definitely not come back to bite her in the butt later in the season. The blocks are of course needed for her zoo build, though she starts out with the gates made entirely not out of it. Inspired originally by the entrance into the Berlin Zoo, what with the lion statues and the archway, it unfortunately is clearly a Batman logo holding a very red mustache. Guess the Chiroptera exhibit better be glorious. In the meantime, the only mammals it's harbouring are the villagers she snagged when iJevin asked her for some. In that way, the Joe Hills care package could not arrive at a more fortunate time.
Joe has struck, and I don't know why I'm doing it like that.
We are going to receive some of Cleo's rare books. We've got armor statues, and armor statues, and the opportunity to take these emeralds and go woo.
Amid all of Cleo's armor stand feats, Joe is most inspired by the rope bridge she built on day one. It is fitting then that he spends the rest of his week forging connections elsewhere on the server, whether it's leaving presents for his warring neighbours BOO and Doc M, connecting the Spawn Islands to the Nether, or linking the Spawn Island portal to somewhere that's not Cubfan's base. He builds a lot of bridges of his own, including this one that's made out of red glass, because the early game Nether isn't enough of a tightrope walk already.
Why would somebody do this? Like, look at us.
The spawn portal gets some extra love in the form of a quartz bridge, which he freely acknowledges will be deleted in 1.16 if the ghasts don't delete it first.
That's a destructible block? What? No! No! I cared so deeply about this.
But at least he's having fun with it. Less fun is the news that Nashville was recently hit by tornadoes, and while Joe has confirmed he and his daughter weren't harmed in the process, let's drop a little extra love on his latest video. And for now, enjoy this clip of him being scared by his own dog.
And it might be a little bit... What was that? Oh my gosh. I thought the dog was sitting. Okay.
If anyone else wants to be jump scared by an animal they've just tamed, Iskall can throw you a bone. His first business attempt goes sideways quickly though, as he gives the sales pitch to Stress Monster, who already has more bones than a normal human skeleton would provide, and Mumbo, who is only willing to part with 12 bamboo in exchange.
Hang on. Before you leave, just... Yep. See you later, dude. See ya. Oh my.
Which is by no means the weirdest thing Mumbo does this week, because while Iskall is out learning the ways of bees, Mumbo is constructing a shrine in the jungle which will be the site of hermit challenges. After summoning Iskall to the spot and initiating him into what we can only assume is a cult, the two of them blindly issue challenges to each other. Mumbo challenges Iskall to dig 10,000 blocks, and Iskall challenges Mumbo to tame a parrot. You can guess which one of them actually fulfills this promise.
It's a bit bigger than yours as well. In fact, my parrot is actually bigger than yours, which is pretty impressive, and it lays eggs.
Yes, Iskall dug out a total of 11,509 blocks to complete the server's first slime farm, mostly so he could flex on Mumbo and sell it to the rest of the server later. Meanwhile, Mumbo transforms into an actual hobbit and had such a hard time tracking down a parrot that he made do with a renamed chicken.
This is a chicken, Mumbo.
So I've got a double
Mumbo, this
parrot.
is a chicken. Can your parrot, sit on your shoulder? No, it can't. You know why? Because it's not a parrot, it's a chicken.
Okay, he's a strong, independent parrot.
Iskall can't stay mad for long because he finds his jungle neighbour's trend of hobbit holes fascinating enough that he can't help but try it for himself, and makes a kind of horizontal hobbit hole window as the entrance to his mineshaft base. But with that taken care of and inquiries about the selling of slime coming in fast, he heads out to the commercial district and builds the server's first shop, a modern facade symbolically holding a block of slime in its grip. He also proposes that plots on the Mushroom Island should be sold based on surface area, with shop owners contributing to a community pool of diamond blocks.
I don't want to force anyone to pay if they don't want to pay, so maybe I should have a sign saying that as well.
Iskal's architecture flipping might not have been the best move, seeing as how Grian reacted to the hobbit hole trend in not the friendliest of fashions.
Hey, look at that! There could only be one. That looks exactly like my face!
While he puts a trademark fringe on the door and a trademark stash on the snail, his own house is being pranked to smithereens. As it turns out, the wizards are swift on vengeance, and Scar might just be an actual wizard. As if by magic, he now knows just enough redstone to put together a ticking clock in Grian's headquarters that will also double as an alarm for whenever you have to start your day at midnight.
That's not 100% the sound I want, but it's getting there. Oh my gosh. This, I hope, is good revenge from the zombie prank.
Grian doesn't even survive till the chimes come in because the ticking is enough to tick him off.
This is a genuine fun fact about me. I really hate clicking clocks. If there's one in the room, I won't be able to sleep. But this is far too annoying for me.
It doesn't help that Scar's powers are only growing. They don't have the armor stand data pack for nothing, and a wizard can do quite a bit of magic with the tools provided. Though for his first trick, Scar nearly makes his trophy diamond disappear.
My first diamond that I was very excited about, and I was going to put it up on the wall to be proud of, it's stuck inside of the block right there. There's like 3 pixels showing. And then I tried to put like a shovel on here, like we're building tools, and stuck in the wood, and this one actually came out pretty good.
Now just to hope that the taste for intense decoration doesn't kick in, as the path of the armor stand is a dangerous one. The newly transformed and renamed Bumbo Baggins might have a touch of slime envy, but that won't stop him from starting on his first farm, a 4-cell iron farm based on a Nembon design. This, of course, requires an early villager breeder with attached crop farm, and might just be the reason he wasn't able to find a parrot in time. Returning to his base, he finds that his fellow hobbit hasn't reacted well to the news there are other halflings in the neighbourhood. A wooden haircut has appeared over his front porch. It's a long-expected parting. But Mumbo will happily sacrifice their fellowship for a quick prank, and before Grian knows it, the armies of Mordor are upon him.
This is a genuine fun fact about me.
That looks so hilarious.
I really hate clicking clocks.
That looks so ridiculous.
But this is far too annoying for me.
If you're such a hobbit, then you'll love this Mordor.
I won't be able to sleep.
In another jungle entirely, Etho begins creating his own monster. It's hard to describe the style of architecture he's going with, but you know how scrapyards can somehow look kinda cool? Imagine that, but with more note blocks. It's block vomit turned into infrastructure, and somehow it's kind of working for us? Aside from this surprisingly aesthetic trash pile, Etho has begun a transport project that will avoid the nether purge of 116. Gathering a bunch of packed ice from a sorta convenient ice spikes biome, he starts digging out a long tunnel in the overworld to function both as a branch mine with a single long branch, and a transport highway which he'll sell access memberships for.
Ooh, what's the toll network?
Well, it's great. You know, we got all these hermits scattered around the world here. We can. It's a way to stay connected with everybody. We offer free texting with ID. So you can be like, Doc, can you read this?
Perhaps unused to blue shiny rocks actually having a purpose, he also trades Scar some ice for a few miscellaneous resources and access to a panda, then accepts redstone blocks as payment to the toll road. But Keralis seems keen to jump on board and even offers to do some extra digging. We all know how this project will get done quickly though, just strap an ice machine to the back of TFC. He's back, and while he isn't making videos from his brand new PC just yet, Tinfoil Chef has plans for a very specific area of the server. He ventures out into a forest, marks out a 4-chunk area, and starts clearing it out, once his keyboard has stopped trying to kill him anyway.
Oh. Have I mentioned how much I freaking hate the start of Minecraft?
He's keen to clarify that aside from the mandatory branch mine, he won't be spending much of this season underground. In fact, quite the opposite. His plan is to build a tower which will reach as high as it needs to, and possibly even to the build limit, filled with all the farms and home comforts he requires. BOO has been working on home comforts since the server began, although they keep falling out of the side of his house. Between dealing with Doc M, which naturally includes the occasional TNT trap,
he's already all over the redstone. No! Then it close to my chest!
And trying to decorate half a house, this season has presented some interesting challenges, but B-Dubs rises to them, setting up a fence between the two properties and working on the interiors even if the lawn has suffered a little. But domestic life brings new opportunities for personal growth, and he gets to spend some quality time with his namesake bee, even though Doc intended it as a prank for the inexperienced beekeeper. And finally, there's Vintage Beef, who has branded himself El Jefe, or maybe El Heifer, and is building a villa in the forest adjoining his desert village turned resort town. Although cows aren't the only animals he'll tangle with after building a goat effigy in Doc M's backyard and temporarily considering a career change as a llama farmer.
Look it, this thing will, a caravan of up to 10 llamas will form. I don't think I need 10 llamas. But hey, maybe this could be my initial business, a llama salesman. Huh? We could sell llama and llama accessories.
While it's still a work in progress, La Hacienda is looking fabulous already, and the floor designs are, Beef reassures us, intentionally tacky. But if he's worried about this glorious terracotta floor being ugly, he probably hasn't seen Etho's base yet. And that's about it for this week's recap. Our writer is LoyXP, and my name is Pixorifs. If you want to know what we have in common with a chicken, it's that all three of us appear in our Chicken Block Skyblock series, which you'll find linked in the end screen theatre this week. Don't forget to leave a like while you're still here and subscribe so you don't miss future recaps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.